Today, the whole thing has come down to a single point. And it's a terrible injustice as it has, because a great many extremely important points have been dispensed with by the court. But today, there's only one point at issue, and that's whether the assurance which the United States government was asked for on Julian Assange's right to First Amendment protection will be given. And that assurance was specifically an assurance that his right to claim First Amendment protection would not be barred solely on the grounds of his nationality.
Right.
And that assurance has not been given. And what the United States have said is that he will be able to argue in court that his right to First Amendment protection should not be debarred on grounds of nationality.
I think the words that he can seek, right? And Stella Assange, Julian's wife, what she called it, weasel words, correct?
It is, but it's very obviously weasel words.
Yeah.
And what the United States have tried to do is they've tried to conflate two things. The court did not ask for an assurance that the First Amendment argument will prevail over the national security argument, for example. They didn't ask for that assurance. They only asked for an assurance that the First Amendment would not be ruled out on grounds of nationality alone.
Right.
And the American assurance doesn't even address that point at all.
Yeah.
It merely says he can seek First Amendment protection. If the court has any self-respect whatsoever, or any intellectual integrity, they have to see that that does not meet their demand.
Right.
And this is a demand which the court has made and said this assurance must be given for this extradition to proceed.
Right.
And plainly the assurance hasn't been given. So I'm actually hopeful today. I've never turned up hopeful before, but the humiliation the court is going to have to go through if, having insisted on an assurance and not gotten it, it nevertheless backs down and orders the extradition, is going to be extraordinary.
Well, you know, that's something that's really interesting to me, because you've written quite well, and I encourage people to follow your writings on this, follow you on Twitter. You've written quite extensively on what you call the corruption of this court, right? The conflicts of interest that have existed across the last several years, regardless of the justices. But now you're hopeful that some degree of humility might be present, where it's so atrocious, right, for them to go forward with this that they won't. And so to hear that you're hopeful makes me very hopeful. It kind of maybe turns around my opinion on this, But do you want to just, talk a bit about what you've seen in terms of the conflict of interest, on the judges?
Yeah, I mean, the judges are very much a part of the establishment. And in previous hearings, we've had one judge who was the university college roommate of the minister who called Julian a worm and who organised Julian's removal from the Ecuadorian embassy. And
right, yeah.
That judge, who is the ex-college roommate of that minister and still says he is his best friend in his biography, is a guy who granted the American appeal against the initial decision to block extradition. The lead judge today, Dame Victoria Sharp, is the sister of the guy who became chairman of the BBC after organising an £800,000 loan for the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson. This is how the British establishment works. They all know each other. They're all related to each other, intermarried. They belong to the same clubs, go to the same small number of private schools, go to the same universities. And so there's not some committees there handing out orders. They know what to do because they're all in the same social network and social milieu, and they know how that social network thinks. But having said that, there is a degree of intellectual self-respect, let me put it that way, but, beyond which some people are not willing to go. And you do get individual members of the establishment who have a conscience. I was very much a member of the establishment. I was a British ambassador. I was a member of the senior management structure of the Foreign Office. And I discovered a conscience and became a whistleblower and left. I don't think it is axiomatic that the judges here will be corrupt. I don't think it is impossible that, having painted themselves into this corner where they've insisted on an assurance and then not got it, I don't think they're necessarily going to back down. I think there's a genuine chance we could see Julian plead as a result of today's proceedings.
I think that's very comforting for a lot of people to hear, because we feel that it's been so stacked against Julian across the board, and the stakes are so high in all of this. I mean, if it doesn't go that way today, what are your thoughts on where it goes next?
Well, if it doesn't go that way today, an extradition could happen very quickly, within 24 hours. He could be extradited very fast. His legal team can appeal to the European Court for a stay of extradition, but it's not certain the European Court will grant it. On top of which, it's not certain if they did grant it, the British government would honour it,
right.
Because they are in conflict with the European Court of Human Rights, and it's part of their electoral programme of the current government, if you like, to denigrate the European Court of Human Rights, particularly in matters of deportation. So the extradition could happen very quickly if it doesn't go well today. We're in a situation where there are massive conflicting possibilities. He could be released this week if it goes for him today. If it doesn't go for him, he could be in Washington before the end of the week. We really are in that territory.
Well, Craig, I'm going to let you go because I know you want to get inside the courthouse as well. That's coming up soon. I appreciate you talking with us right now. Hopefully we're going to talk with you again later today. And thank you for all the work you've been doing on this. And I think I could say for a lot of people, we understand this case better through people like you, and we understand. I think we know what's at stake, but the details of it, which are so important. So I appreciate it, Craig.
Thank you. We keep fighting.
That's right.